So I was recently watching Liberty Garden, and he was pulling out some soil to be used in his garden out of his barn area. And it made me realize I have quite a good resource in this little side lean-to that I have. So as you see there in the bucket of the tractor, kind of in this area right in here that's kind of been, looks like it's been trampled on. That's what I've been scooping out and putting in the bucket. But I've got all this here, all those good cow patties over there. And then inside these stalls, got some really good material. And I've been trying to think what would be the best way to improve my garden soil. And I think this is going to be the trick. Not only is it very rich in nutrients, this lean-to barn has been accessed by cows for at least 75 years. I mean, this barn is 100 years old. And I know in old photos they had it kind of enclosed, but they clearly were using it for livestock. So you could say anywhere between 75 to 100 years. This soil has just been sitting here waiting for me to come pick it up. And the beauty of it is it's free. It just takes a little bit of sweat and effort. So that's what I'm working on today. This is my big, I don't know if it's a 72-inch bucket, but quite a lot of scoops. I thought maybe I would rake it. I got the leaf rake and the metal rake there. And then I was going to use that square shovel back there. It just wasn't going fast enough, so I ended up grabbing that, and that is what I've been using exclusively. The rakes and everything, I don't know, that aluminum shovel seems to do everything. I can turn it around sideways and use it as a rake and kind of pile up the material and then scoop it out. So that's what I'm working on. This is like a petrified cow turd. Alright, this is the third and final load. I think I'm going to title this video something like using 100-year-old manure in my garden patch. Granted, it's not all 100-year-old manure, but some of this stuff is really old. Like this one. Some of it looks almost petrified, as old and dried out as it is. So obviously it's not all 100 years old, but I think it's going to make some pretty good soil. And I noticed it's a different color than the rest of my garden area, so we'll see how it turns out. I'm spreading it out kind of thin. I don't want to, burn out my garden spot. So for this first year, I'm going to do 3 loads, till it in really good, and see how it does. Alright, I'll work on getting this tilled in and spread out, but I think this is going to be a good start. Here's a look at my setup this year. As you saw in the last clip, I'm doing kind of a narrow strip. I don't want to have a huge garden this year, but this tray is peppers. Those that are sprouting are jalapenos. Over here I've got tomatoes and some kale. I've never really grown kale, but we'll see how it does here. And then over here I've got mostly some native pecans that I picked off the tree this year, and I want to see if I can get some seedlings started. And then over here I've got some paper shell pecans that we also picked off a tree in town, and it produced some really big paper shells. So my goal is to grow both paper shell and native, and then wherever you connect them together, and that way the natives will be more resilient here in this Texas heat, and then end up growing paper shell pecans. And then this one plant is a apple plant from last year. It lost its leaves kind of middle of this summer and has just looked like that ever since. So I'm trying to get it under this light, and I've got a heat map. I've got a heat mat that is currently working on keeping the temperature right around 80. That's what I have it set to. So that way, out here in this workshop, it's been getting pretty cold here the last few weeks, down into the 30s and below. So this little heat mat covers 4 trays, which is perfect. That's all I wanted to do anyways. And I don't know, I may do some onion sets or something like that, but other than that, I'm just gonna go with just this smaller setup. So you see I've got my LED lights, and then I've got it on a timer to, I don't know, 15, 16 hours I've got it running. I may be wrong on that, I don't know, but it's worked out the last couple years, and this year I'm just kind of hoping to increase my yields using that barn manure. We'll see how it turns out.